Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to another cabin edition of Jams and Entertainment. This is Movie Stuff Friday, and we're talking about Star Wars. But before we get to it, I also did a 360 tour of a small hike I went on. I went to Conservation Island in Promised Land State Park, and it does a complete circle, giving you a nice view of the lake area. I found out on this hike that my 360 camera does 15-minute intervals of recording, so I'm going to put out 5-minute videos. Check out the first one at the end of the video. Now let's talk Star Wars. On this cabin trip, I watched all the Star Wars movies out so far. Now I realize that Clone Wars also made a theatrical release. I believe the pilot of the CGI version. But if you really think about it, there's 3 different ways to watch the Star Wars saga. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, then either the hand-drawn miniseries, the CGI pilot, or just the entire CGI series. Then you have Revenge of the Sith, then Rebels, and then either Rogue One or the Han Solo story. We won't know until next year where that falls in the timeline. Then you watch the original trilogy, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Then you watch the new trilogy. So far, we only have The Force Awakens, with The Last Jedi coming out in December. And each time I watch the movies, I find something new. And I discovered 2 things watching the entire series so far. Number 1, in The Phantom Menace, Lucas is a far better storyteller than I had imagined, and part of the reason why I rewatched the entire Star Wars saga so far, not only because I love Star Wars, but I've seen a lot of videos on Star Wars, many theories, many ups and downs about all the movies, and George Lucas's techniques in general. And he's quoted himself saying that he's not the best director nor the best writer, but he's still a great storyteller. And the part that I noticed in Phantom Menace is when Qui-Gon and Watto are having yet another wager on the pod race. And this is for Anakin or his mother. And Watto pulls out a chance cube, red and blue. I don't know if Lucas did this on purpose. It's just a theory of mine, but I think that's his way of foreshadowing of what's going to happen to Anakin and Smee. He goes with blue for Anakin and red for Smee. Blue because he's going to have a blue lightsaber. We all know that. Red for Smee because she will die in Attack of the Clones. I think Lucas did that on purpose, because look at how the entire story comes together. The prequels do have their faults, but they are still Star Wars. Then, watching A New Hope, my mind got blown away. I can't believe I never caught on to this before. And I have watched many YouTube videos about Star Wars. The good, the bad, the ugly. None of them have ever pointed this out. And I'm going to use a word that is very taboo to all Star Wars fans everywhere. Midichlorians. Love it, hate it. It is part of the Star Wars canon. And Lucas has been talking about them since the very first movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi is quoted saying, "The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things." Let me say that again. The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It is an energy field created by all living things. He was talking about midichlorians from the beginning. He just didn't use the word. He decided to wait until the prequels to explain it further. He may not have given the best explanation out there, but he did explain it. And the Clone Wars TV series explains it a little further. And you don't believe me that he was talking about it since the beginning? Again, in Empire Strikes Back, Yoda mentions it. "For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow." Again, For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. That's the second time in the original trilogy George talked about midichlorians, but he did not use the word. I don't know if this will stop the divide between the fans. It probably won't, but I just thought it was very interesting to learn that Lucas is a far better storyteller than we all thought he is. And he probably still has some great stories to tell. It's just unfortunately when he sold it to Disney, he wasn't really given the opportunity to continue his story, just give input. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about The Last Jedi and how Disney is pulling more from the expanded universe. And I talk about it a little more in another video you'll find in the descriptions below. The Gray Jedi. At the end of the first teaser trailer, you hear Luke say, "I only know one truth, and that's that the Jedi must end." And I've seen some videos about it, talking about it, because I'm not completely familiar with the expanding universe, unfortunately. But it does appear that they are going towards the Gray Jedi route. They may not call it that. They may call it something entirely different. But I think Luke is going to talk about the Force as not being light nor dark, but simply being. And that's why he says the Jedi must end. And I can't wait for The Last Jedi. It's taking Star Wars to a whole new level. It's no longer going to be black and white. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be gray. And you got a glimpse of this in Rogue One. Not so much Force Awakens. They were still doing a lot of familiar things with that. And we've talked about that. Again, the videos will be in the descriptions below. All my Star Wars talk. Coming up, I'm going to Zenkai-Con, my first anime convention. Look forward to videos on that. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. And remember, live your imagination.